How did our earliest ancestors survive the darkness? No electricity, no torches, no fire, just shadows and the unknown. Eyes watching from beyond the fireless night, predators hungry for easy prey. When the cold crept in, what choice did they have? Hug rocks? Pray? Freeze? What about food? Raw, tough, and dangerous to digest. Back then, fire wasn't a luxury, it was survival itself. A single spark could mean warmth, safety, and a meal. A glowing amber could mean the difference between life and death. But fire was not easy to find, not easy to tame, not easy to keep alive. It was rare, precious, and almost sacred. Generations lived and died chasing the fragile miracle. Today, click, flame dawn. We complain when the lighter runs out, never realizing the sacrifices our ancestors made just to steal fire from nature. Now, fire feels instant, effortless, ordinary. But the truth is anything but ordinary. The story of fire is long, dramatic, carved with human struggle. It is the story of ingenuity, survival, and a reckless pursuit spanning millennia. And in this journey, we will uncover how fire was discovered, how it was stolen, how it was controlled, and how it shaped the very foundations of our civilizations. So, are you ready to walk through Fire's story? First, it was chaos, a terrifying force from the skies. It scorched forests, brought down mountains. Uncontrollable, untouchable, deadly, but then something changed. At some point, one curious ancestor stepped closer, not too close, just enough to feel the heat. To see how it lit the night, to watch meat once raw, now sizzling in flames. And that's when the fear met fascination. They began to understand this destructive force could also give life, warmth, light, safety, even flavor. They saw predators hesitate at the edge of the firelight. They saw amber continuing to glow even after flames faded. It wasn't just fire anymore, it was power, a gift of nature, violent, unpredictable, and rare.
In places like Wonderwerk Cave in present-day South Africa, we find clues, bone boom fragments, layers of plant ash, evidence of repeated use of controlled fire, dated to nearly 1.7 to 2 million years ago. This wasn't a one-time blaze. It was routine, intentional, human. Here's the catch. They couldn't create fire, not yet. So they became fire's caretaker. Preserving it became a sacred task. They had buried hot embers in ash to keep them smoldering, carrying glowing coals in bags, clay, and animal horn around long distances. Feed a central hearth constantly, never letting the flame die. Because if it did, it could mean days of cold, raw food, vulnerability to the dark. Keeping it alive was crucial. As humans spread across new landscapes, the old method of preserving fire simply wasn't enough. What if the fire died? What if the amber went cold on a long journey? What if we need fire now in a new place under pouring rain? The need to create fire on demand sparked one of the humans' greatest technological quests. A leap as significant as the invention of the wheel. And where did the inspiration come from? Tool making. Tool making began as early as 2.6 million years ago. They understood friction, pressure, and striking force. The first true fire starting to emerge perhaps as early as 7000 BC. The hand drill was the most basic and brutal.
A spindle, a hard board, and your bare hands. Rub fast, generate friction, pray for amber. Simple in concept, exhaustive in practice. Then came the bow drill, a game-changing upgrade appearing around 3000 BC, possibly in Egypt or the Indus Valley. It added a bow string to the spindle. Now, with one hand on the bow and one guiding the spindle, you could generate faster, steadier rotation and, more importantly, fire with less pain and effort. For even more power, there was the pump drill. Invented independently by multiple cultures, it used weighted shafts and a crossbar to spin rapidly with a simple pumping motion. Another step toward mastering fire. But in Europe and parts of Asia, one of the most iconic techniques came later: stone and pyrite. Humans discovered that striking pyrite, iron sulfide, against a hard stone like quartz or flint could create hot sparks. Those sparks were caught on dry tinder or charred material, but the principle remained: create spark, catch fire, control nature. Still, these inventions mark a turning point. From relying on nature to harnessing it, humans now had the power to make fire. But the quest wasn't over, because next, we wanted fire that was instant, effortless, and pocket-sized. As humans spread across new landscapes, the old method of preserving fire simply wasn't enough to summon fire. They dipped slender pine sticks into a mixture of sulfur and other chemicals, creating what they call fire inch sticks. Simple spark from hot coals or an amber. The stick would flare to life for far quicker than rubbing wood and striking stone. These were the world's first matches, long before Europe even imagined such a tool. But their magic were limited. The stick could not ignite on its own. Fragile, smoky, unreliable, they were a glimpse of the future, but not yet the full solution. The 19th century exploded with chemical innovations, which finally brought humanity something he had always dreamt of: instant fire in your pocket. The first true friction match was born in 1826. An English chemist, John Walker. Walker had invented what he called friction light. By 1829, Samuel Jones was selling lucifer matches in London. They lit more easily, but came with new problems. They could self-ignite in your pocket, but worse, far worse, was yet to come. In 1831, French chemist Charles replaced antimony with white phosphorus, which made the matches even easier to strike, but it unleashed a silent horror in match factories around the world. Fossigere, an industrial disease that ate people from the inside out. White phosphorus poisoned the jawbones of factory workers, causing swelling and eventual bone death. The jar would rot and fall apart. It's estimated that thousands of workers, mostly young women and girls, were affected or killed in Europe and the US. And yet, production continued until finally the world said, enough! In 1845, Austrian chemists discovered a more stable form of phosphorus, red phosphorus, non-toxic, safe, an idea for controlled ignition. Earlier in 1844, Swedish chemists invented the first true safety match. In 1855, the idea was refined and commercialized by Lundström brothers in Sweden. Their match were safe, reliable, and soon Swedish match became a household name across Europe and beyond. Fire had become mass-produced, portable, and personal. Matches were revolutionary, but they were still fragile.
The next step in the evolution of fire, a reusable, reliable, instant source of flame. Enter the lighter. The very first lighter was created in 1823 by German chemist Johann Wolfgang Debrino, known as Debrino's lamp. It used hydrogen gas and a platinum catalyst to produce a steady flame. It was the first man-made device designed specifically to generate fire. The age of the lighter had begun. Fast forward 80 years ago, in 1903, Austrian chemist Karl Alvo Wedbach invented ferrocerine, an alloy of iron and cerine that produced an intense shower of sparks when struck. This discovery made lighter compact, reliable, and truly portable. In 1918, the Enco lighter, built from spent bullet casings, became the first commercially successful ferrocerine-based. It was refillable, wind-resistant, and widely used by soldiers and civilians alike. Then came the most iconic of them all, the Zippo lighter, invented in 1933 by George G. Blaisdell.
When World War II started, the world changed for Zippo because every Zippo lighter that was built during the war period, 1941 to 45, was bought by the government.
Backed by the promise, it works or we fix it free. The mid-20th century, new advance in plastic manufacturing, butane gas storage, and automated assembly led to the rise of disposable lighter. Companies like Bic made them cheap, safe, and mass-produced, bringing instant fire to billions of pockets. In 1966, a new type of ignition changed the game again: piezoelectric lighters. By striking its crystal, this lighter produced a tiny electric spark. No flint, no friction until you press the button. It's the same technology behind many modern lighter, torches, and electric arc lighters. From hydrogen and platinum to metal alloy and crystal, we have taken fire from the wilderness into our hands. The future of fire is electricity. Will it ever replace the iconic Bic and Zippo? Fire has always been humanity's paradox. It is the force that nurtures life, and the same force that destroys it. For our earliest ancestors, fire was not optional, it was survival. As civilization grew, so did fire's destructive side. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD raged for 6 days, reducing entire districts to ash. In 1666, the Great Fire of London devoured nearly 90% of the medieval city, leaving tens of thousands homeless. And a century later, fire followed humanity into war. Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Fire was weapon. Even today, in the age of technology, fire still cannot be tamed. Wildfires sweep across continents. A single spark could erase an entire community in hours. The same force that powers factories, heats homes, and drives engines can also take lives and scar the earth. Yet, without fire, there is no progress. The Industrial Revolution was born in the furnace. Electricity itself, which now lights our city, which now lights our life, was first generated in coal-fired plants. Fire is literally at the heart of modern civilization. That is fire's paradox, the double-edged flame. From lightning in a forest, to a spark in a lab, to a click of a lighter in your hand, fire has followed us. It shaped our ancestors' survival, lit the first human settlement fueled revolutions, and became the heartbeat of civilization. We feared it, we chased it, we learned to carry it, protect it, and finally create it. Today, fire is an ordinary kitchen tool, a party trick, a background glow. But it wasn't always this easy. Every spark you see today, from a match, a lighter, a stove, is the result of millions of years of human curiosity, struggle, and innovation. So the next time you light a flame, remember, that tiny fire in your hand, it carries the story of humanity.